What makes you know someone is well-traveled without them telling you? They speak in less absolutes? If you are well-traveled, you've probably figured out that far less things than you previously thought are black and white. Being able to code switch into a simpler version of English if that's their first language. A lot of English speakers who haven't traveled a lot are bad at this and try to use really complex words phrases with non-native English speakers. English is the language of travel in most places, but obviously not everyone speaks that much, so you have to be able to switch to a simplified version intuitively based on what level of English proficiency you pick up on from the person you're speaking to at the time. It becomes second nature after a certain amount of time outside the Anglosphere. I lived abroad for a few years, and when I returned to the US, I kept catching myself simplifying my own first language to other native speakers like I was still abroad. Their knowledge about food? For someone from the US, they'll probably have about 10x more geography knowledge than a normal person. They travel light. They are non-judgmental and they can work out any kind of plans in a jiffy. Non-judgmental, open to trying new experiences, foods, etc. Doesn't get into a fit if things don't go the way they plan. By the way, they talk about different cultures and places. They often share interesting stories, understand unique customs, and are open-minded about new experiences. Their knowledge of languages and food also shows they've explored the world. Lots of flags on their Instagram bios. Happily goes into any restaurant and isn't particularly fazed by anything on the menu. I think most non-traveled people will see an Indian restaurant, for example, filled with Indians and staff that barely speak English, and turn around and go elsewhere. Whereas the same scenario would probably excite someone well-traveled as they know they're about to get some authentic food. They are not frazzled by change. They roll with the punches. They can see a bigger picture. They are generally on the more liberal side of things, because they've seen the poorest of the poor as well as the richest of the rich. Traveling widely gives you a certain confidence and self-assuredness knowing you've seen more of the world and different kinds of people than most others. You can tell by the way they casually name-drop cities like they are ordering coffee. 1. They can understand the context of the conversation very quickly. 2. Want call themselves wanderlust. 3. Want evaluate a situation argument by thinking in silos. 4. Would have moved beyond the tribalistic thinking and closer to humanity. 5. Will know various languages. If not, at least accents. They are good at pronouncing the names of foreign cities and places. Accepting the fact other cultures are different and not trying to force them to adhere to your own. That's pretty common among travelers. Their steamer trunk is covered in stickers with different country and city names. They've got a relaxed vibe, can strike up a conversation with anyone, and always have a funny or interesting story about a place you've never been. Plus, they are the first to recommend a local spot or food you've never heard of. They won't talk about a cruise or traveling to Mexico, like to a resort or a touristy spot. Not there's anything wrong with Mexico. Well-traveled people go off the beaten path and aren't afraid to do things outside traditional